Oh, thanks for reminding me. I didn't press record. There we go. Mm. We're live now, Mia, huh? Just getting set up here. What's up, everyone? Good afternoon. I feel like my brain's not functioning today. What happened to the Hypnotic and Storm brands? What happened? Go ahead and tell us. Oh no, the guy got timed out. We're typing in all caps. Yeah, today's a bang kind of day. Oops. So we're going to be discussing lapel guards today. I'm going to look through the Discord here. Seems like there's a lot of questions. JR's got some questions.
Hey, let's mention who the sponsor is of this episode.
Yep. Today, the sponsor of this episode is lapelguard.com. So since we'll be covering lapel guards today, it only makes sense that you have the reference point, which is the Lapel Encyclopedia. We lowered the price for this viral occasion. It's a premium product, I would say, usually, but I think in this time, I wouldn't call it a sale or anything. We're just lowering the price so that it's more affordable for people. So we're going to eat that cost, get it to you guys who need it. There's been a lot of people requesting for another sale or something, but it just feels shitty to call it a sale. Yeah. So it's not a sale. We're just lowering the price for the people that want it. So if you're looking for further lapel learning, I think we got to turn the tripod, yeah. And then see that back leg is longer too. Yeah. No, you should just lower all of them, Miha, instead of trying to balance them. Just if they're all low, it should be fine. So the one by Emma's left foot
has some additional thing here that this one doesn't, and this one does too. So.
Oh, really? Oh, it's got like 3 legs.
No, it's got a little pin at the end there. Is that better?
No. Not here.
No. I might have to go fix this. What's up, Jalen? Oh, is that Jalen from Dallas? What's up, dude? Chance has some sort of multi-legged thing. Now you just got to put this one at the front of the back. You got to put it at the front of the back, so it's even. Now at least it'll be just a forward and back issue and not a side-to-side issue. There we go. Half guard worm attacks, that doesn't exist. How many questions are here in the Discord for this?
About 5, I'd say.
Okay.
6. Jadea has a good one right after.
JR, is that the first one?
Yeah, it's the second one, but we've answered a lot of Joe's questions already, so I prioritize.
Oh, we're ignoring Joe today. Got it.
No, we're not.
I'm just kidding. All right. So I'm assuming everyone here is familiar with lapel guard in some capacity. you know about grabbing the lapel. I trust you all have studied the intermediary positions for this webinar we're doing today. JR asked the first question. JR is one of our brown belts here at Legion. I wish him well. I hope he's getting some good workouts in at home. He's got a few lapel lasso-based questions. When lapel lassoing and an opponent brings their arm on the same side of the lapel lasso, under my lapel lassoing leg, and starts lifting it into a stack pass motion, I get stuck. What are some good options from here? That's a great question. Is this in the way now, Emma? No? Cool. Just the final sip of Bang to kick this off. Not sponsored. Yeah, you can go this way a little. It doesn't need to be this close. I'll just move it so that we can stay centered. All right, let's bow it in, everyone, for class today. We're in it. We're doing class now. All right, go ahead and stand up for me, Mihal. We'll just get right into this today. No messing about. The lapel, of course, we need to open up the lapel. However that happens, it's up to you. You can pull it open, you can kick it open. There's all sorts of different ways to procure this grip. Now, JR is asking specifically about lapel lasso, which is this intermediary position. And what an intermediary position is when you're trying to get to a worm guard set up, like reverse Dell worm or the full worm, but you're in this open guard area and you need to secure your opponent in some way. A lapel lasso can be a really effective way to do that. However, you need to make sure that you turn heavily into the lapel lasso. I need to be turning this way. This does a few things. The first is that it puts more weight on the lapel and breaks his posture a little bit more. The second is that it allows me to keep facing him if he tries to continue moving this way. Because if I relax and let him walk around my guard here, you can see the lapel isn't as effective for recovering guard as it could be if you let someone go to that side. So it makes a lot of sense to stay heavily committed to the side that you have the lapel on. I would also just suggest not using this hand on the sleeve or at the pants, but just keep it nice and tight on the collar here. Because if you can keep it on the collar, you can really reinforce this grip. And it's very difficult for him to break this grip now because his posture is already broken by my leg controlling like this. Now, also, before we get into JR's question, you need to be actively switching your grips here on this lapel. You don't stay in one place. You're going to be going from the ankle to the lapel to the collar and back and forth depending on where he's moving, because you need to be controlling regardless of how he's passing. You don't want to stay stuck in these fixated grips. You need to be a little fluid here. Your leg is locked enough. You don't want to lock up the rest of your body, because if I just keep these grips and he starts to move to the left again, or his right, sorry, here, these grips are not going to help me. Like pushing and pulling with these two grips is going to be ineffective. However, if he moves to this side and I switch grips, so move that way again, I switch grips to the ankle, I can control and get my hips back in front of me. So that's why it's important to be switching grips constantly. Okay, now JR had a question about when they bring their arm inside. And there's two ways he could do this. He could go over the top, which we'll answer first, and then underneath as well. So if he brings the arm inside like this, like a stack pass position, this is the one that is going to give you the most trouble here. Now, I wouldn't say that there's good options for how to deal with this, because once his arm is underneath, you don't really want to keep this position anymore. You should not let yourself get stuck here, which is like, it's counterintuitive, and this is an issue that everyone falls into when they start playing lapel, is just the lack of transitioning out of things, okay? Sometimes you get stuck in a bad position like that, JR, and you need to let go of the lapel and start over. If he brings his arm on the inside like this and I have the lapel here, I don't want to hold on to this. Just because my leg feels secure and like maybe I can hold something, there's not really a lot of attacks from this position. You've stuck your leg here. I can't even get it to like his hips or his leg to get more leverage, and all I'm doing is just staying tight on his arm here. And if he continues trying to stack me, he might not pass, but you're just holding on for dear life. And I think it's ineffective to just stay there. So what I would suggest first is just don't ever let that happen by turning heavily this way. That's one of the main things. It's just a fundamental rule. If you stay square with him, he's going to be able to get his arm on the inside really easily. But if I turn and I go like this and put my hand here, it's a lot more difficult for him to get his arm on the inside. And if he does manage to get his arm all the way on the inside, my foot is like on his hip in a better position to where I could even set up some of the funky omoplata stuff from here. So it's a lot of it is just positioning and you just sitting too still. Because if you get this and you think it's some sort of like game-changing power, just holding this grip the whole day, it's not, and you're overestimating what the lapel lasso can do. For a long time, I advised against playing lapel lasso because I felt that people fell into that little swamp right there where you're just holding on and letting them do whatever they want because you have a lasso, and it shouldn't work like that. So first things first, if you're trying to avoid that double under position, is you have to make sure you're playing lapel lasso right, which means not being flat on your back like this or turning away from the lapel. You absolutely must have proper body positioning, turning into it, and using your other foot either on the shoulder, the hip, the leg to adjust his base, or even on the bicep is fine. But you must be turned this way, because now when my arm is here and he tries to reach his arm on the inside, go ahead and try and bring your arm on the inside. He has to go through my arms and leg, or he has to try and go all the way over the top. But if he goes all the way over the top, because my wrist is here on the collar in the proper positioning, he can't get his arm underneath.
Stupid.
And if he tries to go between my arm and my leg like he did originally, which makes the most sense, the same thing occurs where he can't really get his arm all the way through. So this grip is what you're missing for that particular one. You need this grip, you need to be turned in, and that will kind of stop that issue from happening. So don't relax, stay active, use your second grip. Don't go rodeo style. There's no point in just like waiting for him to do something here. You're gonna need to get that grip. Now sometimes he can kind of scoop under your leg on the outside, like like going around this way, yeah, like this. This happens a lot as well, and this is another situation where you need to try and avoid this happening ahead of time by having proper positioning again. If you just leave your foot hanging out like this, God forbid, you might even get ankle locked, right? So I need to have my foot in a position either at the bicep or at the hip here where he can't just scoop it. If he tries to scoop it here when it's at the hip, it's another one of these situations where he's kind of just like setting himself up for the full worm setup, right? So sometimes I feel like I'm supposed to give an answer of like in the position, like if he's here, like what do you do here? Well, the answer is you let go. You don't hold on. You transition to another guard. His lapel's still there, and then when you go, you just go back to it. It's just a couple of grip switches to get out of the position. It's almost like putting yourself in a trap when you hold on to it. So if he underhooks again, here, like even this, it's not going to be super effective for him to pass or anything, but it just creates an issue. You have to transition either to squid guard anyways, but if you transition to squid guard here and he has this underhook, he's going to cross it in front of your body, and now you're in this position, which isn't the end of the world. There are some attacks from here, like the really crazy choke that you can do if he puts pressure. We did this, that's in the Lapel Encyclopedia as well in some of the submission sections. So there's always options when those things happen, but it's a lot better to have your hands in the right position, your feet in the right position, to just avoid those frustrating things. So the answer is turn in, foot on the hip or on the bicep, other hand on the collar, and when he tries that, set up the full worm guard. And if he does manage to get you underhooked or overhooked like that into a stack position, you need to let go and create space, go back to a traditional guard, and then transition back into the lapel if that's your intention. Let me know if that answered your question, JR, your first question. The second question is, what are the best options when in lapel lasso and the opponent is keeping their opposite leg of the lapel lasso away from me? Since that's the legs I want to invert under for the Polish worm rider, or that I also use for transitioning to worm guard, reverse delta worm. When my opponent hides that leg from me, I get stuck and resort to some sort of Hail Mary darce. That's very believable that you do that. All right. So yeah, this is another good question. It's also kind of answered just by having the proper body positioning. You just have to be in the right stance, I would say. Just like in wrestling or judo, if you don't have a good stance, you're going to get taken down. And in lapel guard, you have to have a good stance. You have to have your legs and feet in the proper position. And a lot of what I'm going to say right here is going to sound the same as your first question, because most of those issues kind of disappear when you have the right positioning. Go ahead and stand up for me again. So this time he's saying this leg is stepped back from the lasso, so he can't get the Polish worm. So the fact that you're going for the Polish worm means that you're turning to the correct side, because if you're reaching for this leg, you're in a good spot here. Now, all I would ask of you is just to make sure that this hand that's reaching doesn't just constantly reach as he keeps stepping that leg further and further away. If he's like stepping and I'm just reaching, it's not really going to do anything. So let's transition back, get the control, come here, and start controlling properly first. Now, this leg is here, so this is the one we're going to make use of. If I can't reach this leg, it's not the end of the world. We just have to transition. Let's rotate this way a little. Other way. This way. Yeah. So I have two options here. I can go for squid guard, or I can go for inverted squid guard. And they look similar, but one is under and one is over. So this leg is here, so I'm going to take advantage of it. This almost looks like Polish worm, but I'm doing it to this leg. So I can't reach this leg. Whatever the case, his leg stepping back, I'm just going to grab this leg, scoot my hips close, and I reach through and pass the lapel here. So now my foot is in the wormhole, I have the control, and I can bring my knee down in between his legs like this. So from this position, there's a few different things you can do. I've been having a lot of fun just bringing my foot in to like a tomonagi position here, where I actually just like elevate up to create space. And then from here you can see your foot comes out very easily. You can come right to X guard, or you can just extend all the way up and turn it into a worm wrestling scenario. Let's do it again from this side. So I'm lassoed. I get into the proper position for Polish worm, and I can't reach. I just reach over the top and pass this lapel here, like this. From this position, you can transition to normal squid as well. I can just take the lapel in my hand and just be in a sort of an intermediary position for a second, and then underhook and get squid. And from the squid guard, if any of you have seen my squid guard attacks, there's a lot of things you can do from here as well. But you got to just get out of the mindset of like, I want that leg, I want that specific move, I want to just do that one thing. There's a lot of options, and you just need to know the options so you can just transition to the next option. There's no sense in just like going for the one thing that they're trying to defend anyways. Just take what they give you. For every defense, they're going to expose a new offensive option for you. So you can play around with the inverted squid. And the inverted squid is not on the new, is not a chapter on the Lapel Encyclopedia yet, but it will be soon. Is JR in the chat here? Is he paying attention, or did he probably going to come back later? JR is too cool to.
He's here.
Oh, shoot, he is here. The mystery is dead. Let's see what he says. So we can really just wrap up that question. Did he say anything? Okay. I feel like you would say that even if I didn't answer the question, though. That's just how JR is like, yeah, man, nice, okay, I'll try that. And then if that didn't answer your question, you want more options, let me know. But the inverted squid is something good to play around with. JR, you're still new to the lapel guard, and I don't know if you've been looking at the Lapel Encyclopedia, but you really should watch it, because a lot of the questions are they kind of just disappear when you just follow the system. So you need to watch that and not just keep, like currently, I don't know if you've watched it or not. I'm assuming that you haven't looked through it because it is 9 hours. It's like pretty long to watch the whole thing. So assuming that you haven't watched it, right now you're in a position where you're kind of trying to build your own lapel game, and you're running into these roadblocks. But the answer to those roadblocks is just to learn more of the options and different attacks, because there's so many. And sometimes just having a variety to choose from can get you out of positions where you feel stuck. All right, let's see Jadea's question. Can you show attacks from the squid guard when the opponent is on their knees? Yes. And also some stuff from the Polish worm. Oh, for sure. We got an undetermined amount of money from Cali Boy Hoy. $1.4. $1.4, excellent. So we're going to answer Jadea's squid guard question now. What's this?
No, I'll do it later.
Okay. All right. Stand up for me again, Miha. Well, actually, she said from the knees, right? Okay. So first of all, you're not really going to be able to set up squid guard when someone's on their knees. It's pretty tough to do. You can do it. I'll demonstrate how to do it anyways, just in case. But if someone's on their knees, usually the answer is Polish worm rider, which is relevant to JR's question. Polish worm rider is super good against people on their knees. But look, if I try and set up squid guard and he's on his knees, especially if his butt is on his heels like this, I can't get through this leg. It's too tight here, so it's pretty difficult. You can create some space by putting your foot underneath the lapel like this, reaching between his legs, and then doing sort of a, I don't know what you would even call this. It's almost like I'm trying to tomonagi him again. Like I'm trying to bring his weight here. So I'm supporting his upper body's weight on my foot. I don't put the lapel way out here because then he can just smash me. I need to keep it super close to his armpit and create this kind of like hook over my foot. And you can see this separates his hamstring from his calf. So even if he's like really trying to keep himself back like this, if I can get enough momentum as I like pull him forward, you can bring that foot through and then just pass it back as he kind of unwinds. Now, once he's on his knees here, I want to try and get my hand out between his, out from between his hamstring and calf. So now my hand is free on the inside. Just his lapel is caught by his gargantuan leg muscles here. Now again, we want to be turned in this scenario and be gripping at the collar to control. From here, he's not going to be able to pass your guard. Like no matter what you do, like you can be really comfortable in this position. If he stays on his knees, he is not passing, you're not in danger. If you keep your toes pointed out, he can't go for a toe hold or anything like that. He can't go for an ankle lock. Just keep your toes pointed away and you're safe. Now, you have to get a little creative with how you want to attack from here, Jay. If you can stay in this position, you feel comfortable here, you can go for omoplatas and you can go for Flavio Conto chokes. Flavio Conto is probably my favorite setup here because it makes people kind of like back away quickly because they get scared of the position. So I'm just going to grab here on his collar like this, and I grab a little bit lower than you think is necessary. If you grab too high, it's not going to choke as effectively. I grab a little bit lower here like this, and I'm trying to pull him in so that he's like putting pressure. I want him to kind of be moving into me a little bit. And even if he's pulling away, that's okay as well. I just want to get him a little closer, and I kind of roll up on my shoulder, and my palm is going to go flat against his chest as I do this. So my wrist is straight. I'm going to put my palm flat against his chest here as I swing up onto my shoulder and bring my leg up over his head. But look, I don't just hook my calf behind his head. I want to try and get my whole thigh up around the back of his head so that I can set this position up properly. So I'm going to keep my legs straight. I'm going to lift my hips all the way in the air. I'm going to bring my thigh as high up on the back of his head as I can. Like this. My leg is straight. And then I'm bringing him back down here. And I want to get this really all the way up over the top. Try and stay on your knees, Miha, as much as you can. Yeah, your knee popped. So look, if my leg starts to slide and my hips come flat, I'm not gonna be able to choke him here. So I really need to be up and over and keep this leg straight so his head bends down. See how his head is bent? It's because my hamstring is on the back of that. And then from here, I just drop my weight. I'm gonna loosen this so Miha doesn't die. I just drop my weight. And then from here, I can even let go and hook this arm because I don't need the lapel anymore. And even if he manages to pop my leg off, the lapel will still be there if I need it, and I can just re-grip here. So that's a really solid choke you can do. There's also a really strong back take, which I'll go into here in a second. Let me just catch up on the chat. Isn't squid guard just mantis guard? Kind of, I guess. Your arm's in a similar position, but your legs aren't. All right, she had one more question. There's one more attack from the squid guard, so yeah. Now, there's a good example of this in a few matches. Back when me and Kynan were on the same team and we had some fun matches at the SJJF, there was one situation where I used this next attack I'm going to show you, and it's a way to get through and underneath someone even when they're down on their knees and trying to keep a lot of distance. Okay, let's do it. So again, if he's on his knees and I want to get the lapel, I'm going to underhook here and come back like this. Now I can't like pull him up over the top of me with these grips. It's just not as effective. I need to reach through and switch my hands. So this hand is on the lapel now. So I switched and my arm is sort of across my body. It feels a little awkward. But what this does is it almost lets me like get a much stronger pull because I can get up to my elbow like this and I can start pulling, and look how I move my hips so I can get my arm in the right position, and then this hand's going to go underneath as well. And as this hand goes underneath, I can really pull this leg across my body here like this and keep his leg trapped, and then come through almost to like a crab ride position. And I can keep this lapel for a little bit, but what my main goal is to get double pants grips. So I'm here, I start to extend away, and he's just gonna keep his base, and I'm gonna switch to double pants grips, like this. Now, you have to know when to let go of the lapel, and this is one of those times. The lapel has served its purpose. We're now in a highly advantageous position, and I can just grab double pants grips and just kick him right in the butt to free myself from out from underneath him. Come up, and his legs are crossed here. I don't want to just open this up. I want to keep those legs crossed so he can't recover to either side. If I can keep his legs pinned here with the lapel, there's a nice little interaction here with his pant sleeves. They kind of lock in place. So even if he tries to like kick his legs or move them in different directions, it's pretty tough for him to do anything. So I could pass to this side, or if I pass to this side, I can just kind of open up here to pass. So for this to work, you do have to have a little bit of flexibility as you like invert. You need to know how to generate force from upside down. I'll get the squid here. So you get the squid, pull that all the way through his legs, and then switch the position, gripping. It also helps to bring your foot to his hip, so my heel kind of slides out a little bit. Now, even if he tries to like push on my legs to like keep me away here, I have such a strong pull. All I have to do is just pull and rotate my body to my left here and reach under the leg. And you'll get this leg at least off the ground. Then sometimes I'll catch at the ankle to really just help me pull it across and bring my knee on the inside. I immediately secure the far pants grip and then the second pants grip. I extend away so I can start sitting up. But from here, it's a little awkward, so I can't like come up from this position. So I just give him a nice butt kick to create some space, and then I come up. He's probably gonna turn into me, his legs cross, and I'm just gonna start trying to pass from this crossed leg position. So this is just a way to sweep and then immediately be in an offensive passing position. So you need to anticipate that his legs are gonna cross like this, and you can kind of lock those in place. And in an old match, I think I've done it twice in competition, you can actually like trap their legs with one hand. So I have one pants grip, and then I just fold the other pants grip right over that. And this is a super strong grip actually. He can't really like scissor his legs or pull one knee up. And so you have probably a good like 3 to 5 seconds of completely cheating passing because I'm controlling both his legs with one hand. So you just need to make use of this. If you can secure this grip, you need to immediately be passing here with knee on belly or something like that, because he's gonna be freaking out. And if he starts really trying to break your fingers, you're gonna wanna let go to get the pass. What do you guys think of that? Ow, my knee. Can you collapse this window a little on this side so I can see what they're saying fully? There we go. Yeah, that's fine. So a lot of lapel sweeping positions land you in strong passing positions, and it's very important to take advantage of those because the best time to pass someone's guard is immediately after you sweep them. Who's next here? Joe Jitsu, trying to avoid knee bars from squid guard. It's not the best. There's a reason it doesn't feel tight. It's because it's just not, your foot's not in the right position. If you go for it while they're above you, there's a very good chance that they're just gonna collapse on you and kind of break your position. You'll lose the worm guard and have a lower chance of actually finishing the knee bar. You usually want, if you're doing worm guardy type stuff, you need to sweep first and then transition to the knee bar. You have to be on top. So Alan is up next. Alan Lee says, I'm still relatively new to the lapel guard. Would you be able to go over when you should choose worm, squid, and all the other variations of the lapel guard? Yes, that's a very good question.
Worm guard for beginners, lapel guard for beginners.
Yeah, well, he kind of knows. He's not really that new, because he knows that there's different variations. So really what that comes down to is which leg they present to you. Kind of like JR's question. if one leg is back when you're trying to get one particular move, just go for the move that you can go for on the leg that's close. So if they're leading with their left leg and I have their left lapel, I'm probably going to go for squid guard. If they're leading with their right leg and have their left lapel, I'm going to go for Polish worm or worm guard. So it just comes down to what leg is forward. So if I know that I'm always going to be grabbing the lapel, here, turn this way a little. I'm always going to be grabbing the lapel that is over the top of his gi here. So I'm not going to be getting this lapel because this was much harder to pull out of his gi. See, well, it's not impossible, but this one is the one I want. So I'm usually going to be controlling with my right hand on his left lapel, like this. That's just the initial grip to secure it. Then when I actually want to start setting up my positions, I'm going to cross grip, because with the cross grip, I can use my foot to go on top of the lapel, so if he starts immediately putting pressure, I can stop him from passing right away with this grip. Then I fall all the way back and I replace that foot with my foot underneath here. Now from this position, I like to just immediately go for squid guard first. First attack, I want to reach for squid guard here. If he lets me, that's fine. I go to squid guard, I start setting up my moves, trying to come out the back or trying to sweep him over in all the different ways you can sweep from squid guard. But what usually happens is if you lead with the squid guard attack, they're usually going to step this leg back first. So if I reach here and he steps this leg back, this leg's right here for me to do other things. So I can secure this grip, kind of reset the position and set up worm like this, or even do the ghost Polish worm, where it looks like Polish worm, but your leg's not actually in position. You just take your foot out and start coming up into wrestling positions as well. So you can kind of like force someone to give you worm guard if you just go for squid guard first. So cross grip, immediately go for squid guard, and they're going to step this leg back. So that way you can actually be prepared for what they do next. So that's like setting up, just like you would set up a takedown. I always bring things back to takedowns because it's just the most simplistic understanding of like how setups work. You're setting it up by initiating a threat on one leg. It leaves him only one option. He either gives you the leg or he steps the leg out. If he gives you the leg, great. If he doesn't, great. You go for worm guard. So that's what you're trying to look for. There are situations where you just have the right opportunity to go straight into worm guard. So if he's standing and he's leading with this leg like this, and I'm like right in the position to set it up, but as I set it up, he steps this leg back, that's when I just switch to cross grip and underhook to squid. So we're just taking whatever leg he gives you, and that's why it's important to have a really competent squid guard too, because it lets you attack to both sides. And the issue that a lot of people run into, and JR is probably running into this problem as well, is just trying to attack in one direction, trying to play to the left side, left side, left side, but squid guard lets you play to the right side. So you need to know when the right time to do that is, and usually the right time is just when that leg is forward. So to my right, I usually just go squid or inverted squid, which I debuted here for you today. And then to the left side, it's just reverse Delaware worm, Polish worm rider, and regular worm. And then usually once you have the worm setups, it's pretty rare to transition back to squid because you have their legs so secure. There's just so many attacks to the worm side. So I always lead with squid because I know I'm not going to be able to come back to it anyways. And if they respect it enough, it sets up the worm guard. So it doesn't really matter which leg they put forward. You just need to be attacking the appropriate part of the system for which leg. Why is the levitation sweep not in the lapel encyclopedia? It's just not that effective. It was a cool sweep that I started playing around with back in like 2014. And then I decided it's probably not something I want to teach and have be a main part of the system. So I just left it out. I'm constantly just like cutting the fat, you know, trying to keep it as concise and effective as possible.
You see that?
Huh? Ezra? Talking shit? Get him out of here. He wants to be banned. There you go. Get him out of here. Oh. He was protected. There you go. Let's see. Easton had a question here. Best way to finish the pass after taking someone down with worm wrestling or sit-up sweep with the lapel? Fantastic question. Let me just retie my belt here. So usually you're going to land in some sort of platinum worm position, Easton. Easton's one of our talented white belts here. I don't even know where you learned lapel guard, Easton, because I didn't teach it to you. I guess from the Lapel Encyclopedia. All right, so let's do Easton, if you can just answer for me, what is your favorite worm wrestling position? Like, are you taking people down from the squid guard position, the worm guard position? Because any lapel guard position can turn into a worm wrestling position. Oh, you just use worm wrestling. Okay, so in that case, you're probably playing sit-up guard here like this, and you have the lapel here. Now, from this position, and you can correct me, Easton, just go ahead and correct me as I teach, and I'll just like transition into whatever you say. But from here, De La Riva sit-up guard. Okay, so what I would suggest for you first is try and play around with this position, because you don't want to go right to De La Riva, because De La Riva and sit-up guard are kind of like opposites, because my body's forward, so I have to like lift my leg in a position like this. It's not really effective. This is a lot more effective, for sure, because you don't really need your leg up here like this. It's not just, you don't need to do this to turn it into a wrestling position. You want to keep your body flat, or like seated here, so I can just reach around, because my main goal is to get my legs out from under me like this, and if they're up in the air in a De La Riva position, and this may not even be what you're talking about, but just for reference for everyone else, you don't really want to be coming up for wrestling positions from here. So I actually like to just keep my hips a little further back, put the lapel right between his legs, and if he tries to pressure into me, I just keep that pushed, and I'm looking to pass the lapel whenever he gets too close. So if he's backing away a little bit, that's fine. I'm just still here looking to get the leg. And if he pressures in, I have to keep my head low. If I keep my head low, it kind of counteracts the underhook. Even if he gets it, I keep my head under his chest, and I've got the lapel passed just fine. And if he continues to put pressure, I just rotate my body and kind of drive him that way anyway. So I take my foot out and just rotate it so I can easily come up into wrestling positions. Easton, am I doing it how you said? Like sit-up guard? So yeah, I'm just going to continue. There's two ways that you're going to land a wrestling position, and it's the lapel under the near leg, which is the most natural looking wrestling position. People would probably be familiar with this. Passing under the leg is nothing new. The other one is from the squid guard grips, which is here. So this is a really strong worm wrestling position as well, because it just keeps such a tight lock on this leg. You can turn this into double legs super easy, even with your arms fully extended. I don't even need to have like proper wrestling position. I can literally be standing up straight, and no matter what he does, if he stands up straight too, or does anything, or tries to wrestle like hell passing position here, I can immediately start trying to pin this leg here. And if you're unfamiliar with platinum worm, I'm trying to get underneath this leg at the ankle, not at the shoulder here. I just lift his ankle up, and I'm trying to get this up to my shoulder. And then from here, he has to try and turn into me, but he can't because my arm is blocking it and pushing it down. And I can pass that grip and start to pass or do more of the tricky movements like so. But what do you do when it's not a squid guard position? So you don't land in perfect Polish worm. Let me just see what Easton said here. With the right foot on the inner thigh, ankle pick, yeah. I see what you're saying. So now let's talk about from this position what happens. So if I'm here and I'm here, it's like this, and I extend his leg and I start coming up into the wrestling position, I like to hold onto the collar as I hold onto the lapel. The collar just helps me get up, but also keep him down. But he's going to turn to face me and probably whizzer me and do all the counter wrestling movements. But from here, I can take him down in either direction. I usually try and take him down forward, because that's going to put his leg in a better position for me to pass. Because if I take him down forward here, I can land in more of like a side smash position and already be kind of past his leg. But go ahead and get back up. If I take him down backwards, like this, his leg is in the way and he's going to be trying to play guard, like so. And then now I have to clear this leg. I want to keep the lapel, but I have to kind of like move around his leg, like this. And then the goal is to reach over his leg here and pin his knee. Turn this way a little. You can see how now if he tries to face me to recover his guard, this arm kind of blocks that. And even if he tries to bring the other leg over, you can close the distance and start passing with those grips. I usually don't insist on the normal grip under the leg for worm wrestling. I try and get the squid grip. The squid grip just feels so much more effective against someone who's really strong. If someone's really good at wrestling or judo and you just have the lapel under the near side leg like that, they can whizzer really hard, they can uchimata, they can even like sprawl really hard on that, and it can be trickier to actually finish. Whereas the squid guard, they can't really sprawl. Oh, lapel players is in here. That's a good question. Can you show exactly what you did to Ali at Euros where you came up and had his ankle completely trapped?
As it would have it, that video isn't on the Lapel Encyclopedia yet. I'm gonna upload it today so you can let them know.
The technique?
Remember the one we did, the last one for the worm wrestling chapter?
Oh, we talked about that?
Yeah, the one you
So it's
explained it.
proprietary information, is that what you're saying?
I mean, you can show a taster, but it's gonna be on Lapel Encyclopedia today.
Okay. So that will be on Lapel Encyclopedia today, lapel player, so you can check out exactly what happened there. But I can give you a little briefing on what happened. So let me see. Easton, did that answer your question? I can go more into it as well after this. I'll just show one other thing real quick. So what happened with Ali at Europeans was Ali is very flexible. And so he tried to take his ankle out of the worm guard. So I'm pretty sure it was like this. Not an exact recollection of the events, but here I had worm. And when I went for a reverse Della worm here, he brought his knee across like this. And whenever someone tries to step their leg out, like he could step it all the way out by doing this. And if that happens, it's not the end of the world. I would just try and set back up lapel guard, no big deal. But I know that this is a common reaction. And I know that once I'm here, there's only really two things he can do. He can either put a ton of pressure or he can take his leg out. So when I feel someone start to take their leg out, I just pinch my foot really tight on their ankle, because he can slide his shin pretty far, but once it gets to his foot, if I just create a little bit more tightness here, it's not gonna work as effectively. He can't just pull his foot all the way through the smaller hole I just created. So what happened is Ali dropped this knee to the mat, and I don't know how flexible Miha is, but he was here. And I don't know if you can see between Miha's legs, but I have his ankle trapped in this position here. Let's rotate a little so you can see. Let's replicate it here. So here, reverse Della worm, he brings the knee up, I trap it, and he brings the knee down to the mat. Now from this position, look how out of position he is here. All I did was take my foot out, and even if he wanted to try and pass my guard here, it's gonna be pretty tough because I've got his ankle. As long as I can just tuck my head in, he's gonna be in a tough spot. And he continued to try and sprawl, and I just got up with his leg, and it doesn't matter how much bigger and stronger and better at takedowns he is than me, because I just got his ankle trapped so tight. And his ankle was trapped, and I pinned it up and over like this. But this grip kind of goes into the platinum worm passing position, so there's a lot you can do with these different grips and set them up in different ways. And if you saw in that match, I kept the grip, continued using it to score points and pass, and then eventually used it to actually attack the back as well. So there's a lot you can do from there. But that's basically what happened, is he tried to open his knee, and I just caught it at the ankle with the lapel as he tried to take it out, because I'm aware that that's an option. Does that give you some insight into what was happening, lapel players? Miha's giving you guys a link here for that course, if you're already an owner of the Lapel Encyclopedia. Thomas, that's called the reverse Della worm back take. He asked, what is the back take from worm guard where you pass the lapel from outside the back under your knee, but in front of theirs, and then pull and rotate around the back? Well, it could be Polish worm rider as well. Probably Polish worm rider is what you're thinking of. Yeah. Is that who I think it is? Coming out of his cave? I brought you food. Yeah. Tony's over there, Inner Sport. If you're asking where Tony is, he just came out of his dungeon. What, is it legal to grab the drawstring? I don't think so. You can grab the belt though. But you can only grab the belt if it's tied. You can do anything with the belt if it's tied, but if the belt comes loose, you can't grab it anymore. Can you show us your favorite setup for your favorite lapel choke? Sure. It looks like Miha's just getting some Keenan Online member questions ready. My favorite lapel choke is the worm hat choke. And this is on YouTube as well. I filmed it a long time ago. It's due for an update for sure. But basically, when you have the lapel in the end of your hand like this, it's more than just a guard tool. This is also a weapon. You got to remember, this is basically just a rope. So if you have a rope that's attached to your opponent's, the middle of your opponent's back, you could easily just like completely, you know, wrap it around his head over and over again. So the setup is a little trickier than that. Especially when someone's on their knees. Like say someone drops to their knees immediately. They don't want to let you set up lapel guard. They just dropped and they just were like not letting you set up anything. And you're just in this position here. This is the perfect time to set up the worm hat choke. Because I don't really want to just like, I'm already seated, he's seated, I'm not in danger. He's not going to start passing my guard. He might just engage, maybe grab my knees a little or something to like do his thing of not getting put in worm guard. With this lapel, I actually am going to reach, I'm going to put my hand in his collar, and this hand in his collar actually serves as like a distraction. Because if I immediately do this, he's going to just move his head back and not let me do it, right? But if I grab here, like this, with this collar, I'm also set up for off balances because I can push his knee out like this. I can do all sorts of other things with this grip, even if I don't get anything set up with the lapel. But what I do is I pull him down, and as I pull him down, I bring the lapel across his face and then loop behind his back here. Now at this point, I don't have to keep my hand on his collar. He's going to be pulling away. What's important is to not keep your wrist straight. If my wrist stays straight, it's not going to stay behind his head because there's all this space over here for him to duck his head out to his left. See that? So I actually have to bend my wrist and tuck my elbow so it lands against his chest and on top of my other hand. So my hand is connected to, my hand is connected to my elbow like this. So I pinch it down here. Now I'm not actually looking to choke him with this. I'm looking for him to move away. He wants to back away from this and pull his head out and I actually turn this into a lapel wrestling position. This is my favorite setup. As he tries to back away, I stand up with him like this. Now this grip is actually one of the strongest judo throwing grips that that exists, because I'm literally controlling his entire face. So all I have to do is just turn to one side or the other and his head will also turn. So it's almost like a headlock hip toss. I just turn like this and you just bring them down with this hand or just drive it across for Ezekiel like this. This is, and I know that looks goofy, but that's not a joke. That's a real move that works really effectively. And it's the way worm hat was intended to be used. Because trying to choke them from bottom with the worm hat is tricky because you don't have the leverage really. Like coming over the head here like this, it's just this problem. If he ducks his head out to the side, you just can't get leverage. So you have to like put your elbow down in a way that takes away a lot of the choking power. And sure, if I pull close guard here and really start like pulling and squeezing really tight, I could probably get something going. But it feels a lot better to like come up, take them down, pass their guard, and then choke them, all while keeping the same grip because it's so powerful. So hand in like this, go around the head. But look what I do. I want to try and break his posture this way. Because if his head is this way and I try and reach here, look how hard I have to come back and block his head. But if I'm here and he's facing me square, like for real, like this, and I grab and I kick this knee out with my left foot, so the opposite side foot to the collar, and as I kick the knee out, I bring this across here, like this. Then he's going to be trying to back away. He's not going to try and pass me here. That's one thing is for sure. He won't be driving into me. So if he tries to drive into me, he's going to get choked for real. So he's going to be backing away to try and avoid the position. And when he backs away, I just move my legs, come up. If he stays on his knees, he gets choked. So he has to stand up straight to relieve pressure. If he doesn't stand up straight and I just start choking here, he gets choked. So he has to stand up straight to relieve pressure. And when he stands up straight, it takes away his ability to duck his head out. So he can't duck his head out. And if he tries, that's him putting his head back down, which chokes him. So once you're standing, he's really stuck. His only option would be to maybe go for some sort of flying armbar attack, but even then it's pretty good chance he gets choked on the way down because it's so tight. And then I'm just stepping in. You could do like almost like a Tai Otoshi position here, but you don't even need to. Like, you don't even have to use judo. You just turn, point your elbow up, and just step in front of him. So he has to go down because the choking pressure doesn't leave him any other option. And then when you're here, you just drag him around. You just pull him around by his neck until he taps, basically. Now, once you get on top, you just put pressure and you just choke him like an Ezekiel, if you know what an Ezekiel is. If you do not, that's your problem. How do you deal with your opponent straightening up as you grab the lapel, trying to set up worm? It becomes hard to insert the foot through the hole as the opponent is straightened his back. This is true. If he's postured up, this is a great time to practice your worm wrestling. So we actually talk about this. Go ahead and stand up for me again. We talk about why worm wrestling is important in the worm wrestling chapter, and one of those things that's so important is if I grab someone's lapel like this, here, if he postures up super straight, it's very difficult to set up the worm. You can try and set up a squid guard maybe, but even still, you kind of get stuck here sometimes. So what I would do instead is just back out, start trying to push at his knee with both hands on the lapel to break his posture here. So if he stands up super straight, to avoid the worm, just take your foot right on his knee, push it out, and set up just a basic worm wrestling position. Because he's going to try and posture up again. Right after you break his base once, he's going to posture up. So I'm just going to pass this lapel before that happens. Now if he stays postured here, I'm just going to stand up and wrestle him down. I might even use one of my favorite little technical get-up sweeps from here, which is a great thing you can do. So it leaves him in another situation where he has two options. Stand up straight, expose himself to takedowns, or feel the threat of the takedown and re-engage. So if I'm here and I break his posture and get my grip and he stands up straight, he feels the threat of the takedown, he might close the distance again. And if he closes the distance, I let go and I can set up my worm guard. So it allows you to go full circle by giving you alternatives to each body position he takes. That's what's really powerful about lapel guard and the lapel guard system is, yes, there's always a way for them to impede your progress. There's always a way for them to slow down the one move that they know you're going for. Like if they know you're trying to set up worm guard in a specific way, they're always going to be able to put their body in a position to avoid it. Anything in jiu-jitsu is like that. Any movement. If I know he wants to put me in closed guard, I'm going to put myself in a position where it's very hard for him to get closed guard. But in doing so, it will expose me for other things. Every movement that someone does to specifically counter a certain movement will expose them for another movement. It's just everywhere. Every movement you see. There's no position or stance in jiu-jitsu that leaves you invulnerable to everything. It's just up to you to know what to exploit when they overcompensate to avoid a very particular attack. Do you have closed guard passing with lapel? The only thing you can do, you can't pass a closed guard. You have to open a closed guard. You have to open it first and then pass. So there's really only one or two good ways to open a closed guard, which is also just on YouTube. You just stand up, basically. Just look at my channel. I have a good closed guard opening video that I shot with Mihoff a couple years ago. Yeah, Ryan Clark, best options when reverse delta worm guard when the opponent steps over your foot on the hip. You shouldn't ever let that happen. If your toes are pointed out, he can't step over. And I could illustrate that for you as well. But basically, if he's stepping over your foot, it means your foot that's in the wormhole is like turned inwards towards him, so it just bends and goes underneath. But if you turn your foot and your knee points out, they can't really step over it. But if it does happen, I suggest transitioning into single leg X worm. Do you need to buy volume 2? There is no volume 2. It's all the same. Once you get the Lapel Encyclopedia, you get all of the new chapters and everything for life. Do you have some variation of the De La X guard? Yeah, you can do it with the worm guard for sure, but I think De La X is better with sleeves. sleeves and collars rather than the lapel. Because with De La X, you have so much lower body control already. You're controlling both of their legs with both of your legs. To have your arm in there too is overkill. You should be using your arms up top in those positions. I'll just demonstrate what this guy asked. Come on this side for me again. Thank you. So if I remember correctly, he said, setting up reverse Della worm, and I set up reverse Della worm a little differently than you've probably seen people, or you set up, because most people don't watch to the point of the Lapel Encyclopedia where you do this setup. You go here, and I underhook the leg closest to me to set up the reverse Della worm, like this. So I'm already, the second I set it up, I'm already behind his back, so he doesn't even have an opportunity to really defend or do anything, because I'll just get this hook immediately, so he can't step over my foot. But if you're not doing that more tricky setup, get just a good stance here. So from this position, if I go here and I get the normal position and I break his posture, this is how most people set up reverse Della worm. Going underneath my thigh and behind his calf. Now remember, you can't just reach like this while seated straight. You can't reach. So you have to fall to your right to get the angle so you can reach deeper here. And now look, if my, posture up just a little so they can see, if you see my toes are pointed out and they're not past his hip, if I put my foot past his hip and my toe is pointed in, it's very easy for him to push that foot down and step over it. But, can you put it back for me? If I point my toes out and he tries to do the same thing, try and step over my foot now. See, he just doesn't have the pressure to really do it. It's pretty tricky. So I don't know if you guys can see that. Let's turn this way a little more. Pointing the toes out. So when he tries to step over, he still can, it's true. But my arm is free to hand fight as well. So if I know he's going to try and step over, he goes back and reaches my foot, I'm just going to grab and pull his sleeve. Or you don't even have to pull his sleeve. The second he reaches back to do something like that, you can just reach and control. And then I'll go to reverse Della worm. And then that's the thing too, is this reverse Della worm grip is very easily switched. So if I feel like I'm trying to set up reverse Della worm, but he's doing a really good job, maybe blocking my leg, and then I feel him reaching back to step over my foot as well, I'll just switch and grab his hand and control again. And then maybe even transition to something else, some other sort of guard, not even reverse Della worm. But then here, let's talk about if he does actually step over it. So go ahead and stand up, and he manages to step over my foot like this. I'm just going to switch my grip here, go to normal worm, and then move your arm that way a little so you can see. I turn this way and I bring my foot in front of his shin, and then I fall back, lifting his leg, and I get to single leg X worm. So now he's stepped over my leg, and that's fine. I just transitioned to this position. Now, from here, I have all sorts of other attacks. This is all in the Lapel Encyclopedia, all the attacks from here. You can go reverse X and hit a lot of sweeps from the inside Senkaku position, like this. If I don't have the cross grip, I can reach to the sleeve here and extend up and sweep this way into passing positions. So if they step over your leg, you can transition into a single leg X worm, which is pretty effective. What is the best guard pass with the highest success rate? Of everything, I would say the best guard pass, as far as being most reliable, is probably like a knee cut at all levels. Like from white to black belt, knee cut is probably most reliable and least risky. So you can go for it a lot without it costing you. But probably the most effective guard pass is over-under, if you're really good at it. Murillo Santana, Bernardo Faria style it's very difficult to get good at it though. It takes a long time, and you have to really focus on that style of guard, passing almost your entire life to become really effective with it. Not your entire life, your entire training career, not your whole life. What's the question?
Here's more like a social question.
Okay, I'll read it here. Who is this?
It's a Keenan Online member from Paris, France. He's live here, so maybe he's watching right now.
Okay. He says, "Hey Keenan, as a 6-month white belt, I recently just discovered your lapel guard game. No one at my gym plays it, so I didn't get to feel the power of it. Plus, I don't want people to give me weird looks. What's your advice on the matter? Where do I start?"
So how do you do lapel guards if it's kind of taboo at your school?
You just start. You just grab someone's lapel and you start. It's not, I don't think he said it was taboo. He just says it's more, no one plays it at his gym. you get to be the first, man. You get to show them the power of it. If no one plays it, they're not prepared to defend it. So you're in a great position to actually have the moves work effectively from the start without having, because sometimes if you're a white belt and you're trying to play lapel guard against someone who knows what lapel guard is, they're going to smash you as if you're a white belt because they know what to do and how to stop you from, because you probably don't have the coordination in your legs yet to really play any open guard effectively, and like the hip positioning and knowing how to do like proper shrimps and stuff to effectively recover guard. So that's actually the situation where most people have the most visible or obvious results, is like a white belt who doesn't really know anything. They start playing lapel guard and it just works, versus blue belts or anyone. It's because it's like an equalizer. If they don't know lapel guard and you put them in lapel guard, now they're essentially a white belt against you. And so I get a lot of messages of white belts from the same situation where they just start playing it and people have a really hard time against it.
Yeah. So if a 6 months white belt wrecks everyone, everyone's gonna start playing.
Yeah, or a lot of times what happens is your coaches get really mad because they don't know how to deal with it and they try and ban you from using it. Or they say that it's like, you shouldn't be using that yet. It's too tricky, which it's really not. It's just like any other guard. It's just another way of playing guard. That's like half guard is harder to play than lapel guard. That's what's crazy. Like half guard is more difficult to play effectively because there's less clear-cut techniques from there. Like half guard is all about concepts. It's about like the underhook concept and like fighting for the underhook effectively. That's not something you can really teach. It's something you have to be good at and like learn through your own body. But lapel guards is just like, it's so step by step and systematic that if you just do the grips properly, you usually have some success with it.
This one's good because we haven't had a gubber guard question.
Oh yeah. So another member of Keen Online says, from a locked-in gubber guard, how do you deal with your opponent denying any attempts to hip out towards the overhook? In my experience, this either happens when my opponent puts their weight, pressure on the same hip as my overhook, or by utilizing a body lock. Very good question. And this is where, this kind of shows just how deep each of these guards are. There's so many things you can do from each of them because really they're kind of like especially gubber guard is kind of an adaptation of what closed guard is already. So all of closed guard techniques are available to you just with this increased power of this grip behind their back. So especially if they're staying like square with you and not letting you shrimp out. So I'll just demonstrate what he's talking about, which is closed guard here. But normal closed guard, the only way to really control his posture is to like grab at his head or at the collar and try and be breaking posture. And he's gonna have his hands on the inside and you're gonna be trying to like clear those hands off and get to like an overhook position. This would be normal closed guard, right? But in gubber guard, all you do is you open this lapel and you reach behind his back and you go like this. And now this grip right here is already enough to start breaking his posture, because if he postures up now, I have this nice hook behind his body. I can just lift my back off the ground and like pull him down, right? So gubber guard is when you break his posture. I like to grab this lapel like a rope and put it right behind his neck. So if he tries to posture up, I can just hold him down with this rope. And then when I'm ready, I lift it again. I'll either control his head like this, or sometimes they just stay low here. And there's two ways you can do this. If you're really flexible, you can just put your foot right through here. If you're not as flexible, just grab lower on the lapel and use it like this motion. Pull your own leg. You grab it with the other hand. This will still hold his posture a little bit. Pull your own leg and just flop that lapel right up over the top. It's actually very effective. Now, the situation that our member here is having trouble with is when he has the overhook like this, he's having difficulty shrimping his hips out and trying to get his knee in like this. The guy keeps squaring up with him and keeping him flat here. So when this happens, you have the gubber guard fully locked and you can't get the overhook. Or maybe this arm is just inside, like here or something. In this situation, I don't have to shrimp. I'm gonna go to the other closed guard attacks that are available by using another method. This time, it'll be a submission attack. So I bring my hand, I always wanna get inside control. I bring my hand on the inside. I grip the lapel with this hand, and I bring this one in front of his face. When I bring it in front of his face, I can grab the lapel here. So what this does is now as he tries to square up with me like this, I have this really strong elbow push across his jaw. So the more he brings his head to the center line and tries to keep my hips flat, the more I can drive his face away. And when I can drive his face away, I don't have to shrimp. I just drive his face away, and that lets me bring my knee through. And once my knee's through,
he can continue trying to face me, but I have this grip so powerfully here that we can just switch right into the omoplata attacks and just pull that leg out and just keep the lapel to do the full wormoplata setup. Or your other option is to be just facing him here and look for actual chokes from this position, which I wouldn't really suggest as much. If you're gonna do chokes, you don't wanna do it with the Bravo grip with your foot in. You wanna do it on this side here. And then if you push here, look, you have a really nice Flavio Canto as well. Those are tricky sometimes to set up, but it's more about the threat of them to help you cut the angle. They have to respect it, because if they do nothing and continue facing you straight, you can choke them. So what actually happens is they respect the choke and let you shrimp your hips out. I hope that answers your question. The Bravo grip is really strong. And then when you have the Bravo grip really tight, you can actually just pull your foot out as well and just do a normal Bravo choke. What do you think of the Sao Paulo pass? I think it's pretty ineffective against anyone with longer legs than you. If you're shorter than the guard you're trying to pass and you're trying to do Sao Paulo pass, they're just going to body lock you and you're going to be pretty stuck. Someone said half guard lapel. I think he's just instigating. But a half guard lapel is really just a worm wrestling position, I guess. Just pass the lapel and play half guard and then come up. Arm bar with the Bravo grip, like from close guard. Deep half lapel, yes. These are all things. Worm bar, yes. These things, these things exist. Can we check on the Discord group again? See if they. Joe says, I'm back looking at Discord now, guys. Honestly, I've been worried I'm too low level to play lapel guards. I'm going to just start doing it thanks to the class, based on what you just said. I've been mental blocking myself. Yeah, Joe, also when the gym opens back up, come talk to me. And let's like talk about your game a little bit to see like what you should be playing first, because if you just dive into it yourself, you might pick something that is cool and it works for you, sure, but it doesn't complement your game. But if you talk to me, I can tell you like where to start and play a game, like a lapel, incorporate a lapel into your existing game rather than just dive right into it and pick something that's like, maybe you don't realize, but it's like severely disconnected to what you already do. And there'll just be an issue with transitioning between those two things. But yeah, lapel guard now and even more so going forward, I mean, if I keep competing and doing lapel guard and competition and stuff, it'll just become another position, just another guard that you have to know because it's effective. So just like a white belt should be aware of what guards exist, in my opinion. Blue belt more so, but white belt should be aware like what a De La Riva is, what a spider guard is. Even if they don't play it super effectively, they should know what it is. And worm guard is no different. Even if you don't play it super effectively, you need to know what it is, just like the rest of jiu-jitsu. Flower sweep from the reverse delta worm guard, yep, I use it all the time. If people put too much pressure, you just play close guard with the reverse delta worm grip and your hips are super extended out and you can just flower sweep them right over. I'll show you just for fun. Such an easy position. This leg up for me. So, reverse delta worm. Oh, I can't even get the lapel. Here. If this knee is up, here like this is usually the situation where you land in the flower sweep position. You bring your shin in. I pinch my knee into his. I don't extend it that way. I just pinch my knee in, and that brings his knee to the mat. And then from here, he's gonna try and face me, usually with an underhook, and he drives and puts pressure and just tries to go into my close guard. But look, I have this great angle on the close guard like this. My hand is still on his lapel, so he can't bring his knees to face me. But the more he drives in, and my mic might get cut off for this, but the more he drives in, I can reach up and over, and then look at this, just sweeping right over to mount, no problem, with the leg still trapped. And what I would do is just underhook this arm immediately, and then chair sit with the grip. And I use that pretty effectively. In most of my competitions where I use reverse delta worm guard, it usually ends up in something like that. And then most of the time they defend and I get the arm bar. But that's a fundamental movement of the reverse delta worm for sure. If you play full and half guard, how do you incorporate with the lapel? For full guard, you just do gubber guard, how I just demonstrated. There's a full chapter on that on the Lapel Encyclopedia as well for all the different attacks you can do. Incredibly powerful position, still underutilized. Most people are kind of focusing more on the open guard, worm guard stuff, but the gubber guard is probably, I don't know, it's more effective, I would say. Yeah, gubber guard, close guard just makes close guard a really dangerous move. Gubber guard makes close guard what it should be. But if you just use close guard, it's so difficult to become a master close guard player with there's so much subtlety in your movements and your control that it's hard to teach and it's hard to even learn. So you don't see people playing close guard super effectively these days. But with the gubber guard, if people focused a little bit more on that gubber guard position, you'd see a lot of lethal close guard attacks because it's so easy. It seems as lapel attacks are really time heavy, does it work better if there's more time left in the match? And would you say it's kind of best for people who are slower rollers? It does take a little bit of time to set things up sometimes, but it's more about the pace at which you attack it, because it's not really time heavy. Because if you look at how I enter into reverse Delaware, for instance, the match with Muhammad Ali, I pretty much pulled guard directly into reverse Delaware and swept. There was no time, it didn't take any time. So it doesn't really require a lot of time, like you're saying, unless you're not taking the shortcuts that are available. If you're doing like the maximum grip switching that you can do, you can put like 6 grip switches to get to your position, or you can just do one. So it's about the efficiency of knowing how to get to that one position with as few grips as possible. And that match is a great example. I don't know if you can find it online, but I literally pulled guard like this. I was here. I'm pretty sure this is what happened. I got his lapel. I went like this, and then I just dropped into the worm and got reverse Stella worm, and then he brought his knee out, and that's when I trapped the leg and came on top. So it all happened in like 10 or 15 seconds. So no, I wouldn't say it's very time intensive. Oh, someone said, can you show some options to pulling worm guard? Yeah, that's one. You can literally just lift your leg up and pass the lapel as you fall down. That's probably one of the more effective ones. If you watch most of my matches when I pull lapel guard, I usually like sit back and go right to squid guard. It's a good way to just fall into squid guard. Brian Cantor says, I'm a 42-year-old new black belt who has played close guard very extensively. When I added gubber guard to my game, it really helped against the young monsters. Thanks. I'm glad you're having success, man. But yeah, it's a pretty tricky move. That's what Josh was using a lot against me back in the day when we still trained together in the gi. He was really good at gubber guard, and it was working for him against me, and I know the position. So it's one of those things that if you have it down, it's very difficult to defend. Lapel players asked, have you ever seen someone get penalized for kicking the lapel out with their foot? I haven't seen that, no. And I do it all the time. I've never been penalized. Andrew Renzi, do you show guard retention in the encyclopedia? Yes. The very first, probably 2 chapters, 2 or 3, the very first 3 chapters are about how to retain guard, how to like transition out of positions when you get into those double under spots like JR was asking about, like how to just deal with all of the mess that people are going to throw at you while they try and avoid your lapel guard. So that's all guard retention, but based around the idea of like guard retention to get the lapel. Is it appropriate to show lapel to 3-month beginners? I think you could show them, but I wouldn't make it like your primary curriculum. You can definitely show them that the lapel grip is there. Just like any other grip on the body can be used, like the lapel grip is no different. It's simpler in a lot of ways because you can do different things with it. Oh, Albert had a question here. Can you show an option for platinum worm when the lapel goes through their legs, then wraps around the outside? I don't know what you mean, Albert. Platinum worm is when you have this one. So platinum worm is only this position.
Thank you, man.
That's already a pass though at that point. Go on your back. Platinum worm, Albert, is like maybe you're here, maybe you swept and had it, or maybe you're just like playing a normal passing game and you grab the lapel and you reach it through like this. You reach it to the left hand and then to the right hand. You don't try and go like here because then your hand's in the wrong direction. So you have to like grab it, use this, and then replace. And then from this position, you're reaching to this ankle and trying to get this leg up. Because when you bring this leg up, he's going to try and extend away to create space, and then that is going to leave an option to grab here. And this is like the basics of the platinum worm attack. So there's a lot of stuff you can do from here. He's typing now, Albert. Let's see what he says. Will this video be available later for viewing? I think so. We've been leaving all the live streams up.
We might put them on Kino.
But we might take this one down. So take notes. Triangle from squid. That is an option. I usually don't go for, I don't make the submissions the main goal of squid guard. I try and use the submissions to set up the sweeps more effectively. Because it's like if you go for the submission, they're always going to defend. And when they defend the submission, it leaves them open for the original squid guard attack. In the encyclopedia, it goes around the outside of the leg and then goes inside the leg. Just how you just showed it, okay. And then do you ever pull it up through the middle of the opponent?
It means like this, so like from the inside out.
Oh. Yeah, that position happens, but it's not as effective. If you're, Albert, if you mean like this, I don't know, I don't think this is what he means. Like this, Albert, is this what you mean? You ever pull it up through the middle of the leg and then pull it to one, like this? This must be what he means, yeah. This is not effective, Albert, like this. Like, this position is only good when you take someone down with it. Like, if he's standing, and then I use it to take him down, because it helps you pull it to side smash, like this. There are things you can do from here, like, if you're here and he commits to this side, you can, like, pass the grip like so, and you could potentially, like, depending on where his foot goes. If he puts his foot here, he's just going to get side smashed. But if he brings his foot out, you could potentially stack it and bring it over the top as well, and now he can't get the leg back. There's lots of options. But I didn't show those in the Platinum Worm because I was trying to focus on the one that really works. I really only add things to the Lapel Encyclopedia after I've done them in competition. So that other one I just haven't done, so I haven't verified it to myself to be worth teaching people. That's one thing I really hate is when people post moves that they haven't done in competition as if they are real and work and there's no evidence that they do. So I try not to teach those things if it's just a hypothesis still. But I wouldn't recommend doing that, Albert. You should just do the normal Platinum Worm. You have a lot of learning to do about that position first. You don't need to get creative with it right now. Deep half worm exists? Yeah, it does. You can actually set up reverse Della worm from deep half guard. Let's see if I can remember how to do it actually, because it is kind of an interesting thing. So like, when I was playing deep half for a while just to mess around with it, I would set it up here, and then I would try and open the lapel, and I'd reach underneath like this. And then what I would do is I'd lift my leg and go here. And then, what was it? It was like this. Oh, it was, I think it was like this actually. You go through like this. And then when I come out the back here, you land in like a good reverse Della worm position. It was something like that. I don't really play deep half guard. But you can find ways to use the lapel anywhere. I just haven't explored every single guard and every single lapel adaptation that you can do to all of them. Especially with the half guards, it's like, I don't really play half guard, so I don't really have too much info on what you can do from there. What about side closed guard? I don't know what that means. Double under judo choke. I don't know are these questions of if they exist or like I don't know what you guys mean sometimes. But I feel like we covered a lot. I think we're going to close up shop here. Thanks everyone for coming. We'll be back on again tomorrow at noon.
Oh, Nogi.
No-gi tomorrow. I would like to train a little today if Tony puts on his gi. Tony, you want to train? You want to roll? Throw your gi on and let's roll. We'll just leave the stream on as well we wait. Huh? Oh yeah, we should bow out.
Let's tell everyone to get the encyclopedia to learn all of this stuff for real.
All right, guys, so we'll be closing up shop here. We're not going to turn the stream off. We're just going to go into rolling, but there might be a little intermission. Remember what I showed you today? It's like part of a system. They're not to be used individually. You need to know the full thing. If you just go out there and try some of the cool moves that I showed you today, it's not going to work as effectively because you don't know what happens before or what happens after, because that's how it works. The system takes a large amount of options and just narrows it down to few options, and then you follow those few options like a little, mind map kind of thing. So you need to know what goes in the mind map and you can learn that on Lapel Encyclopedia. So lapelguard.com for that. We lowered the price to make it more affordable for everyone if you're interested during the downtime that we're all experiencing. So yeah, let's bow out the class, everyone. Get ready to bow. I expect all of you to bow, even if you're at your desks. Ready? Us. All right. I'm going to take this mic off for a second. Actually, I'll just leave it on and wait for Tony to roll. Yeah, I'm not going to go anywhere, guys. I'm going to stick around. We're going to train. For the bow out, they all used. So what have you guys been doing lately? Don't worry, some guy just made fun of us bowing. I'll just ban him permanently so we don't have to see that negativity anymore. Can you add student troubleshooting on Encyclopedia like on KO? That's a good idea. Yeah, we could definitely do that. For future stuff, I'll film it, and then I'll teach it to the class, and then I'll troubleshoot with them and just add it to the proper area. Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll try and remember. Lapel players, people keep asking you about solo lapel drills. Yeah, it's a tough spot. There used to be this wrestling dummy. It was like a wrestling dummy that was attached to a wall, and it was like vertical standing, but in a wrestling stance. It was at Lord Irvin's gym, and we would put a gi on it, and it would just be pinned against the wall, and it had like a spring, so you could like shoot on it, and it would like give resistance. It was actually really cool. But a standing dummy is actually a lot better grappling dummy than like the ones that are just like a. I don't know why these ones exist. Like, how are you supposed to roll with that? But you could throw a gi on that and definitely do some lapel stuff if you got the money to buy one of them. I don't know what they're called though. Jake, you have a birthday present for me? Let's see it. What about using the belt instead of the lapel? Yep, you can do it. The belt is just another lapel basically. All the same moves work except the worm hat choke. You can't really do with a belt. Are there sweeps from Gubber Guard? Yeah, just close guard sweeps, mainly. The main point of Gubber Guard is just to set up omoplatas really effectively. Like, you can't stop the omoplata from Gubber Guard, and it's just so strong. They can't get out, they can't stand up, they can't step over. It's just too powerful. Once Tony gets his gi on, him and Miha can start rolling, and I'm going to take a quick break, and then I'll come back to train. Tony, you got to turn that off. We can't have music.
I think we should just like
You don't want to keep the stream going for.
I
That's
mean,
the best part. They love it. So the issue is if we play music, YouTube demonetizes the video. And it's not like, I don't make money from the YouTube ads, really. It's like very small amounts, but YouTube doesn't promote your video unless you have ads on it because YouTube makes money from your video. So if you get demonetized, then YouTube doesn't make money off your video, so they're less inclined to actually share it. So it's kind of a shitty situation. How about this? How about we start the rounds, and then we'll cut them off. So we're going to start doing rounds, and then when it gets to a point that I start getting beat up by Miha, then we'll cut it, and then we'll upload those to Keenan Online. So we'll train for probably a good, 20 minutes. Guys, you can't type in caps or Nightbot will kick you out. So I can't see the question. Clifton, I would go with the Lapel Encyclopedia if you're trying to get more lapel stuff specifically. There's some lapel stuff on Keenan Online, but Keenan Online is primarily about teaching everything other than my personal lapel creations. So it has all of the rest of jiu-jitsu. Lapel Encyclopedia is just the system of lapel as represented by my image. My vision. So no pass yet for a single leg X with lapels. It's pretty tough. Sit-up guard the same as lapel guard? It's not the same, but you could do it, yeah. Do I teach online privately? I do not. I just have lessons online on Keenan Online. All right, guys, I'm going to go use the restroom real fast, and then I'll be back to train. So Miha and Tony will just stretch here for a little. Intermission.
Emma, how many people are watching? 488. Yeah, what's up, guys? I'm not a yoga teacher, so I won't. But yeah, this gi is nice. Thanks. Hi guys, did you enjoy the stream today? I think that was like some really good lapel information. Like Keenan said, it's super useful if you already have the system in your mind and you can attach the little bits of information that were given out during the streams to that. Favorite yoga stretch for abductor? Again, I'm not a yoga teacher, but frog pose.
I think what we can do is maybe going forward with the live streams is just stream it all, but then just take it down right after, make it private. The live stream is all archived. But the archive is valuable. So we can just tell them that actually. So guys, what we'll do with this video or this stream is we'll train, but then I'm going to take the video down off YouTube, and then we're just going to archive all of the live streams on Keenan Online. I think there's a page for it now, right? So there's a special page for just our live stream recaps, which is just the full replay. And then if you want to go back and get a refresher or review some of the techniques that are in the live stream, it'll be on Keenan Online. But if you want to see the live stream, just make sure you're here every day at noon to catch them live, and you'll never miss it. All right? Okay. I'm going to let you guys go first. And I'll commentate. Mike, can I archive it on YouTube too? I could, but I'm not going to. It's going to go behind the impenetrable paywall forever. Hey, warm up, guys. Don't go crazy. Walla Boy, yeah, I could, but I'm not going to. I'm taking all the streams away from you guys. Yeah, we'll put this one on the Lapel Encyclopedia for sure. Do you guys want to see me only play lapel guard today? Or do you want to see me just do normal jiu-jitsu? I actually enjoy just doing normal jiu-jitsu more because I've done lapel so much the last 7 years of my life. But I can show you its effectiveness. It's almost too effective though, that's the thing. It's not as challenging. It's like you don't have to use any strength, you don't have to use your brain. You just do lapel guard and you win. It's that easy. It's just frustrating. Passing lapel guards, I'm really good at passing lapel guards too, honestly. Anything lapel, I just know so much. It's such a curse. It's hard to live with all this lapel knowledge in my brain. It's overwhelming. What % of your gi game is based on the lapel worm? Percentage-wise, I'd say about 10%. Maybe less. Yeah, you can send your lapel techniques, but I only want to see lapel techniques that are pulled off in competition. I've tried, there's so many, like, anyone can just make up a move with the lapel. I want to see it actually work in a real competition, like an IBJJF competition, not a Naga. It's got to be tested at at the highest level you are qualified to compete in. How do you keep your fingers healthy playing lapel? It's so much easier on your fingers to play lapel. If you play any other grip, your fingers get way more wrecked than lapel. Playing lapel guard saved my fingers. That's why I played it for a long time, because my fingers... Is the volume low? Emma will turn it up for you. Usually lapel guards don't rip people's gis. Most gis have a reinforcement on the side of the gi. How do you deal with strong posture? We covered that earlier in the live stream, usually with lapel wrestling. Did you shout at Hinger after the podcast? Yeah, I had to yell at him. He was out of line. Thoughts on the matrix guard? It's just, I always called it just the calf slice. Just a calf slice attack. But yeah, it's good, it's strong. Keenan, I've been studying your De La Riva content on KO. I can't get the weight or sweep from the second off balance position. Is it because I'm short? No, your legs are probably just in the wrong position. I'm pretty sure YouTube lets you send YouTube links, so if you have a video of you doing a position, you can post it in the chat, I'm pretty sure. I could probably see what was wrong. If you can only afford Lapel Encyclopedia or Keenan Online, which would you recommend? Well, it depends on what your goals are. If you just want to get better overall, Keenan Online, but if you only want to learn Lapel Guard, Lapel Encyclopedia. Matrix comes off from the squid. Yeah, you can do it from the squid guard. What's Miho's best move? Probably his leg locks. He's got a good Kimura, like a counter Kimura, and then he's really good at like aggressive judo throws that lead to submissions. Lapel Encyclopedia, I think it's like $140 right now. Miho lowered the price this morning. What is it about over-under that makes it require a super long time to get good at? It's not like put your hand here, put your legs here, and then you pass. It's like you get to the over-under position, and then from there you have to know how to like use your core, squeeze with your thighs in certain directions and ways to control their hip positioning. You have to use your face and your head in a different way. It's just so many muscles working in unison to accomplish the goal that it's incredibly difficult to become a master of. It's like you have to have such a refined game to be super optimized. Like it's just the potential for optimization of the over-under is so much higher than most guard passing positions. You can optimize it like almost infinitely. You can just get better and better and better at it over time. Yeah, I don't know how long these guys have been rolling. I'll set a timer on my phone. We'll do time, guys. Get you out of there. Set the 6-minute timer. Give these guys a break first. Thoughts on the rubber guard? I mean, just use rubber guard. Reverse double worm, the lapel sinks lower to his ankle. He puts the knee down outside the wormhole of the mat. You try and fight the lapel back. I feel like I'm reading a fan fiction right now. You try and fight the lapel back to the knee line or close the guard with the lapel around the ankle. You put close the guard with the lapel around the ankle, but don't close the guard. Just put the lapel around the ankle and stand up. Do you guys want to do round robin or just like Shark Tank? I feel like sometimes. Never mind. All right, I'll go with Mio first. Tony, no pressure, but you can talk to the chat if you want.
Hi, chat.
Oh no, are you sick?
No.
What's that?
Brush teeth.
You got
stuck in my throat.
you got that Rona? All right.
Latinos are immune. Dude, I'd love to go to Ireland. Never been. I'll go to Zimbabwe too. Yeah, I've been a blue belt for like, I don't know, No, like 3 months. Huh? Something like that. Acá mi compatriota Lucas, saludos. I've been training for a year. Yes, I still play soccer. Not as much as I used to, but I would say my favorite player of all time, Roman Riquelme. And currently, I mean, I'm just going to have to say Messi. Just the way he affects the game. Soy de Boca. I do not have wrestling base at all. I'd say probably the last like 45 minutes and more we spend sparring. At our noon class, we spar way more. Should soccer kicks be allowed in BJJ? I wish. I know those moves. Abby, what are you talking about? Yes, I did play in college. Oh, yes, he does know. Good point, Abby. He does know. Yipiquita, what's up? Come and train, Judea. I'll sneak you in. Just kidding. It is headgear that I am wearing. Miha's from Slovenia. Bones made out of adamantium. No, my ears are still pretty normal, I'd say. Who's what proficiency? I sure did. Uh-oh. With what?
That'll open up your airways.
Ouchie, ouchie. Insta.
How much time's left on me?
Is it on your phone? It says 100% charged. What is my strategy gonna be? What kind of question is that?
It's your turn.
Time. Survive. Ooh, my legs are sore. Got a tough nose. No blood.
Yeah, guys, I'm okay. It was just a nose hit. It's pretty square on, so it's good. Also, stop spelling my name with a J. Use the H. Come on. Yeah, I'm back, guys. Where did Tony play professionally? I'm not 100%. I think it was Boca in Argentina. And no, he's not your average blue belt, that's for sure. Micha's my full first name. It's not a nickname. And yeah, I visit Slovenia at least a couple of times a year now. I really like it there. I just can't stay for too long. Yeah, I think for sure you can get as good as Tony at Legion in 1 year. The only thing is you have to put in the work like he does. Before finding Jiu-Jitsu, I did Judo back in Slovenia. Let's go back to the rolling here, or start with the rolling. As you can see here, Tony's enduring a brutal triangle here. Has to be pretty painful. What he should be doing, in my opinion, is he's gonna tap now, but he should be clearing Keenan's top leg. You see Keenan's right leg? That's what you have to push sideways to open that kind of a triangle. Judo's a lot more dangerous than Jiu-Jitsu. Yeah, the people that I was following and training with, they will have multiple surgeries. It's pretty brutal. Do any of you guys train MMA as well as Jiu-Jitsu? I think Keenan tried it in Hawaii, training at BJ Penn's gym. I actually started with MMA and then transitioned into Jiu-Jitsu in the same academy. And I have like 12 amateur fights or something like that against low-level competition. Here we see another triangle coming on. You see, again, I think Tony should grab Keenan's left leg and push it to the side to try and open that lock, make it slide over his ankle. He's protecting his arm here because it's in danger as well, so he can't really get the angle, and he taps.
You did the move I showed. Huh? You did the move I showed the other day. Most effective pass you've ever done on me.
Keenan's complimenting Tony's knee cut because he executed it.
We did that on the live stream like 3 days ago.
Yeah.
Talked about that grip and then he did it.
Oh, the one. Yeah, he repeated a move from the live stream 3 days ago. Most underutilized BJJ technique in MMA. I think actually trying to submit people aggressively. That would be it.
But at least we'll be way better than everybody else.
I already feel like not training. We didn't train like for 4 days.
And leg locks. I see so many leg locks in MMA that are just a little bit away from being good and working.
Go get him. That grit. Estoy en Estados Unidos hace 10 años. Anaí. Thank you, Josh. Currently sucking pretty bad. Just put him in a pinky toe hold. He's definitely not a coach. We call him sensei or professor. Go for his neck. Good movement. original sponsor by Scramble. The Scrambliest of all that is Scrambly. Miha's nickname is Scrambled Eggs. $30. See you. Yep. Dead Orchard and the Ghee. An eclectic array of techniques in that brain. Oh. Using the lapel. Nice. Don't know what he did, but nice. Time. Yeah, sorry. Feeling sexy, huh? Huh? What'd you say? Your turn? Captain? Emma's fresh. Let's go, Emma. It's a pussy. To me? Oh, you call me pussy? Huh? Did you call me pussy? Are you lying, Emma? It doesn't work for me. I can't get mad at friends. It's not in my blood. I don't know why.
Yo guys, I don't know how many of you are still here watching this. It's a little roll call. I just want to give a shout out to Tony. He's got one of the toughest times right now because both Keenan and we don't roll that much. So when we do roll, we normally roll 100% almost. Especially if we're wearing street clothes. Then it gets really, really crazy. But Tony's like holding up his own. Natural wrestler. I do medium heavyweight, but I can go up and down a little bit. Hell yeah, Richard from Attack the Back. Check out the website, attacktheback.com, by the way. One of the better news resources / blogs out there in the jiu-jitsu space. As you can see here, Keenan's trying the squid guard from close guard / the knees. I think he's trying to show the exact same movement we were doing before. Mm. Mm. Best non-Keenan instructional. Honestly, I haven't watched that many. One that comes to mind would be like one of those early Reinhall triangle DVDs maybe, or Lucas Slipper did a good one on guard passing ages ago. But now I only focus on what we're doing here, so I don't really know. Time. Lecę? Ja. Pomáhať namorovať. Guys, what are you doing besides watching the live stream to survive in these times of quarantine? Nice, George Lewis. That's the answer I was looking for. Hell yeah, kid.
Mantis guard working for you. Huh? Mantis guard. You just gotta try and turn your head in. Because when you get me there, it's like you get off balance super easy. The trick is to get this
Nice,
off
guys.
mat. So you have to turn that.
Keenan's explaining the mantis guard to Tony,
Whatever you can get, even the pants. Whatever you can get to hold it.
telling him to get good grips to off-balance the person forward.
Facing. They're gonna be here. You're gonna open the leg. Once the leg is open, this leg's a little lighter, so you can lift it here, and then you can bring the leg in. Yeah, just extra for you.
He's telling him how to get the off-balance to get the attacks and get on top.
And grab inside your pants sometimes too. Like if they're really pushing down on your shin a lot, yeah, you have to grab inside your pants. Because even if it's just around the ankle, this is still strong. And I just have the pants grip.
That's what I felt like my grip was shit.
Yeah, you gotta grab inside the pants when they start to break the position. And then because you're pushing so far down, the collar's closer. So you just open the leg and then back. So it's this way. And you need to keep the pants with this one, see? You need to keep it for a second. Me and here, Tony. You need rest. We gotta go?
No, Emma just has to go to the toilet.
Oh, gotcha, yeah. I'll watch it. I'll do it. I got it. Oh, this will probably be the last round, guys. I'm out of shape already, even though we trained last week. Everyone's cardio is going to be screwed at the end of this thing. I was in such good shape right before the lockdown order happened. Someone made an account named Keenan's Glass Ankle. That's funny. Oh no, I almost dripped sweat directly in the microphone. Uh-oh. Calvin, Whitney, how hard would it be to live in a van in SD? A lot of people live in their cars here, actually. We probably have like 3 or 4 people living in their cars that train here. But I don't recommend it. Man, I'm ready to go home and take a nap. Quality's not ideal, huh? It's a little like laggy almost. I wonder if that's... Probably just the stream. Oh, that was really clean. That was a clean ankle pick. I feel like I have a way harder time against Tony than Miha does. Oh, nice pass, Tony. Take his back, Tony. I've never seen you put hooks in. I don't think I've ever seen Tony try and put hooks in on someone. He just tries to pull bottom side control over and over again. Oh, here we go. Hooks, Tony, hooks. No, bottom side control. Pulled it. I don't know if the round is over. Oh, 48 seconds. But we're going to end this stream after this one. Time. Good job, guys. All right, everyone. See you later. Thanks for stopping by. See you tomorrow.